The alarm screamed through the colony ship Horizon's Edge at 0347 hours. Captain Jake Morrison sprinted down the corridor, his heart hammering against his ribs. Behind him, Linda Carter's footsteps echoed in perfect rhythm with his own terror. "They took them all," she gasped. "Every child under 10, gone." The cargo bay doors hung open like a wound. 23 empty beds lined the nursery section. 23 children who had been sleeping peacefully 2 hours ago. The observation deck showed a massive council cruiser hanging in space, its hull gleaming with the authority of 15 millennia of galactic law. Jake's hands trembled as he activated the communication array. A face appeared on screen, crystalline features that shifted like living glass. Ambassador Kelvin of the Galactic Council. The alien's voice carried no emotion. "Captain Morrison, the human offspring have been removed for mandatory species evaluation. This action falls within Council Regulation 447B. Do not resist. You took our children in the middle of the night like thieves," Jake said, his voice barely controlled. "Return them. Now?" "Impossible. The evaluation period requires 6 standard cycles. Your species remains under provisional membership. These protocols ensure galactic stability." Linda pushed forward. "My daughter is 4 years old. She'll be terrified. Please, emotional attachment is noted. It changes nothing. Kelvin out." The screen went dark. Jake turned to Linda and saw his own rage reflected in her eyes. Around them, the crew gathered. Parents, aunts, uncles, friends. Every face showed the same thing. A line had been crossed. "Get me Admiral Patricia Hayes at Earth Command," Jake ordered, "and wake up every colony in the network. Tell them what happened here." Within an hour, the message had spread across human space like wildfire. 15,000 years. That's how long humanity had kept the peace after achieving faster-than-light travel. 15,000 years of following council rules, attending their assemblies, paying their fees, accepting their oversight. Humanity had swallowed pride, anger, and independence to be part of something larger. But children were different. On Earth, Admiral Hayes stood before the United Colonies Emergency Assembly. 600 representatives from every human world filled the chamber. The vote took 4 minutes. "As of this moment," Hayes announced, "humanity withdraws from all Galactic Council agreements. Every council station in human territory has 1 hour to evacuate. Every council ship has 1 day to leave our space. And to Ambassador Kelvin, you have 12 hours to return every child taken from the Horizon's Edge unharmed, or there will be war." The message reached the Council's central chamber on Valoris Prime within minutes. The assembled representatives from 800 species watched the human transmission in silence. Elder Vorn, who had served for 2,000 years, actually laughed. They threatened the Council? These newcomers who joined us barely 100 generations ago? Ready the fleet, we will remind humanity of their place. But Councilor Dren, whose species had observed humans since their first contact, did not laugh. Humans had kept peace for 15,000 years, not because they were weak, but because they chose to. And when humans stopped choosing peace, they became something else entirely, something the galaxy had not seen in a very, very long time. The first human warships began emerging from their hidden bases within 6 hours, ships that violated every council treaty on military technology, weapons that had been quietly developed over 15,000 years of careful preparation. Admiral Hayes had given the council 12 hours. She didn't expect them to listen. Neither did Captain Morrison, who now stood on his ship's bridge watching the crew prep weapons systems that officially didn't exist. Linda stood beside him, and together they watched the council cruiser that held their children. 12 hours, she whispered. 12 hours, he agreed. And then we remind them why humanity spent 15,000 years learning to control ourselves. Commander Greg Phillips entered the bridge. "Ma'am, sir, all stations report ready. We're receiving confirmation from Earth. The fleet is moving." Jake looked at the chronometer. 11 hours and 37 minutes remaining. Somewhere on that council ship, 23 children huddled together, scared and confused, his niece Katie among them, Linda's daughter Sophie. The council had 15,000 years to learn what humanity was like at peace. They were about to learn what humanity looked like at war. Admiral Patricia Hayes stood in the operations center deep beneath Geneva. Holographic displays showed the massive mobilization occurring across human space. 200 years of age extension treatments had kept her sharp, and 50 years of military command had taught her patience. But that patience had limits. "Status report," she commanded. Colonel Frank Martinez stepped forward. "Ma'am, we have 400 capital ships en route to Sector 447 where the Horizon's Edge was intercepted. Another 800 breaking orbit from defensive positions. The Council has 18,000 ships in their fleet, spread across the galaxy. Their nearest battle group numbers 300 vessels, currently 6 hours from the Horizon's Edge. And our special projects?" Martinez's expression darkened. "The Manhattan Protocol is active. Dr. Helen Grant confirms all systems are operational. She says, and I quote, 'We kept our promise to never use them. They broke that peace, not us.'" Hayes nodded slowly. 15,000 years ago, when humanity joined the Galactic Council, they had agreed to dismantle their weapons of mass destruction. They had honored that agreement. Every nuclear weapon, every biological agent, every chemical horror had been destroyed under Council supervision. But the Council had only looked for the weapons they knew. They never asked about the weapons humanity might develop. "How long until we have visual confirmation on the children?" Our infiltration teams report that all 23 children are being held in the Council ship's research section. They appear unharmed but distressed. The Council is conducting what they call psychological baseline testing. From the footage, it looks like they're simply terrifying the children to measure their fear responses. Hayes felt something cold settle in her chest. "Show me." The screen flickered. Grainy footage from a microdrone that had somehow penetrated Council security. A sterile white room. 23 human children sitting in a circle, holding hands. Some crying, some trying to be brave. A 4-year-old girl with dark hair, Sophie Carter, sat next to a 7-year-old boy, Marcus Webb, who had his arm around her shoulders. Council researchers stood around them, taking notes while projecting holographic images designed to frighten monsters. Darkness, abandonment. The children cried out, clutched each other tighter. "Enough," Hayes whispered. Then louder, "Enough. Martinez, send the ultimatum again. Final warning. Return the children in 10 hours or face consequences." "Admiral, they're not even responding to our hails anymore." "Then they've made their choice." Hayes turned to her command staff. "Initiate Operation Homecoming. I want every ship in position. No Council vessel leaves that sector. And Martinez, activate the Remembrance." The colonel's face went pale. "Ma'am, are you sure? Once we deploy the Remembrance, there's no going back. The Council will know what we've been building. They took our children, Frank. They're torturing them for data. There's already no going back. Across human space, ancient shipyards hidden in asteroid fields and deep space installations came alive. Massive vessels that had been under construction for generations began their startup sequences. The Council thought humanity had spent 15,000 years becoming soft, becoming civilized, becoming sheep. They had spent 15,000 years becoming patient. Captain Jake Morrison watched the tactical display on the Horizon's Edge. The Council cruiser still held position, arrogantly secure in its superiority. They had no idea that 6 human destroyers had already positioned themselves in a perfect firing solution. No idea that Captain Morrison himself had once been Colonel Morrison of Earth's Special Warfare Division before taking this colony posting. "Linda, take the families to the secure section," he said quietly. "This is about to get loud." She gripped his arm. "Bring them home, Jake. Count on it." The chronometer hit 9 hours. Jake opened a channel, "Council Vessel Infinite Justice. This is Captain Morrison of the Horizon's Edge. You are in violation of human sovereignty and have committed an act of war against the United Colonies. You have 60 seconds to begin child evacuation procedures, or we will board you by force." Ambassador Kelvin's crystalline face appeared. Your threats are meaningless, Captain. We are a Council priority vessel. Our shields are impenetrable by your primitive weapons. Your entire species is about to learn a harsh lesson about defying authority. 60 seconds, Jake repeated. I suggest you reconsider. This conversation is over. Jake looked at Greg Phillips. You have the con, Commander. I'm leading the boarding team personally. Sir, you can't. I'm going. Doctor. He turned to Lieutenant Paul Green at weapons. When I give the signal, you hit them with the pulse cannon. Every Council sensor will go blind for 90 seconds. That's our window. Aye, Captain. Jake joined the assault team in the airlock. 12 men and women, all former military, all volunteers. They wore armor that incorporated Council technology that humanity had been quietly reverse engineering for a century. Commander Lisa Park checked her weapon one final time. Ready, Captain. Remember, the children are in Research Section 7. We go fast, we go hard, and we don't stop for anything except the kids. Clear? Crystal, sir? Jake activated the signal. The Horizon's Edge's pulse cannon fired, a weapon that technically violated 17 Council regulations. The Council ship's shields flared bright, then dark. Every sensor went offline. Go, go, go. The boarding pod launched. 30 seconds to breach. 20. 10. Impact. Cutting torches burned through hull plating. The team poured through into a Council corridor, weapons raised. 3 Council security officers turned in surprise. They went down under stun fire before they could raise their own weapons. Jake's team moved like water through the ship. Left corridor. Right turn? Down 2 levels. They encountered minimal resistance. The Council had become complacent, secure in their authority. They never expected humans to actually fight back. Research Section 7. The door was locked. Lisa placed a breaching charge. Clear. The explosion echoed through the ship. Jake was first through. The White Room. 23 children. 23 faces turning toward the sound, terror transforming to hope as they saw human faces, human uniforms. It's okay, Jake called out. We're here. We're taking you home. Sophie Carter was first to her feet, pulling Marcus with her. Is my mom here? She's waiting for you, sweetheart. All your parents are waiting. But we need to move fast, okay? Stay close to us. The children gathered around the rescue team like ducklings following their mother. Jake counted heads. 23. All accounted for. Park, take point. Green, rear guard. Move. They retraced their path. Council alarms were screaming now. Jake could hear running footsteps. They rounded a corner and faced a squad of Council soldiers, weapons raised. Jake put himself between them and the children. Stand down, he commanded. These children are under human protection. The lead soldier, something reptilian with cold eyes, gestured with its weapon. You are committing an act of war against the Council. No, Jake said. You did that when you stole our children. We're just correcting your mistake. The soldier's finger moved toward the trigger. Jake's team fired first. The Council soldiers dropped. The children screamed. Jake knelt, pulling Sophie and Marcus close. It's okay. We've got you. Just stay with us. They ran. The boarding pod was ahead, waiting. Jake counted children as they climbed in. 23. All safe, he was last through the hatch as Council reinforcements arrived. Weapons fire splashed against the pod's hull as it detached. Punch it, Jake ordered. The pod rocketed away from the Council ship. Through the viewport, Jake saw the Horizon's Edge waiting, and beyond it, the first elements of the human fleet emerging from faster than light. Dozens of ships. Hundreds. The Council cruiser's shields came back online, but now it was surrounded. Jake activated his comm. Admiral Hayes, this is Morrison. We have all 23 children. Repeat, all children recovered and safe. Hayes's voice crackled back. Outstanding work. Captain, get them clear. The real show is about to start. As the pod docked with the Horizon's Edge, as Linda Carter swept Sophie into her arms with tears streaming down her face as parents reunited with children across the cargo bay, Jake looked out at the Council cruiser. It was trying to run now, engines flaring, but 6 human destroyers had it boxed in. and behind them something enormous was dropping out of faster than light. A vessel 3 miles long, bristling with weapons. The Remembrance, humanity's first super dreadnought, its existence a secret for 400 years. Ambassador Kelvin appeared on every human ship's screen simultaneously. The arrogance was gone from his voice. "This is unnecessary escalation. We are prepared to negotiate." Admiral Hayes appeared on the same channel. "You had your chance to negotiate. You chose this." She looked off screen. Fire. The Council cruiser's shields held for exactly 7 seconds against concentrated fire from the human fleet. Then they collapsed. The ship went dark, powerless, drifting. Not destroyed. That wasn't the message humanity wanted to send. Hayes spoke again, broadcasting on all Council frequencies. "To the Galactic Council, you took human children. You threatened human lives. 15,000 years we kept the peace. 15,000 years we followed your rules. That ends today. We want every human colony granted full autonomy. We want reparations for what you did to these children. And we want the Council to understand one simple fact. Humanity is done asking permission." On Valoris Prime, in the Council chambers, 800 species watched in shock as the human fleet demonstrated military technology that shouldn't exist. Elder Vorn's hands shook as he pulled up records from 15,000 years ago. Humanity's admission file. He found the section he was looking for. Prior to Council contact, he read aloud, "Humanity engaged in 247 major conflicts over a 10,000-year period. Average duration of peace between conflicts, 12.3 years. Recommendation: accept membership but maintain close monitoring. Species shows remarkable capacity for both peace and war." Counselor Dren spoke quietly. "We forgot what they were. We thought 15,000 years of peace meant they had changed." "What do we do?" Vorn asked. "We negotiate," Dren said, "before they remind us what else they're capable of." The Council surrendered 3 days later. Not militarily, they still had superior numbers, but they surrendered politically, granting every human demand, full autonomy for every colony, reparations, and a formal apology delivered by Elder Vorn himself, broadcast across the galaxy. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge, watching the last Council ships leave human space. Linda stood beside him, Sophie sleeping peacefully in her arms. Finally home, finally safe. "Do you think this is really over?" Linda asked. Jake looked at the tactical display showing human warships patrolling the new borders. "No, but now they know what happens when they push us too far. We kept the peace for 15,000 years because we wanted to. They need to remember we always had a choice. And now? Now we stay ready. We protect our own. And we hope it never comes to this again." He smiled down at Sophie. "But if it does, we know we can." In the depths of space, the Remembrance and its sister ships vanished back into the shadows, maintained by crews who would pass the duty to their children, who would pass it to theirs, weapons of peace held ready in case peace failed. Humanity had spent 15,000 years proving they could be trusted with civilization. They had spent 3 days proving they could still fight for it. Admiral Hayes stood in her office, looking at reports from across human space. Recruitment for the Colonial Defense Force had tripled. New ships were being commissioned. The Council had learned its lesson, but humans had learned one too. The price of peace was eternal vigilance. She thought about those 23 children, safe now with their families. She thought about Sophie Carter's smile when she saw her mother. She thought about Marcus Webb's courage keeping the younger children calm. She thought about humanity's long peace and its short, brutal war. And she thought about the future, uncertain but free, paid for by people who refuse to let children be pawns in someone else's game. Hayes typed her final report. 1 sentence. "We remembered who we are."